in order to facilitate some guests that we have with us today. We're going to ask Roger to come up to the mic and make some introductions and a brief statement or whatever statements he'd like to make. And I just want to encourage all the committee members to keep to listen with one ear and read with one eye the minutes and decision letters so we can make those edits and consider that approval. Thank you, Roger.
Okay, Roger Lindsay with Stormwater. Today we have some distinguished guests. They represent FEMA Region 4, and so we have Tammy Hansen and Valerie Anderson. And Tammy and Valerie are in town to conduct a community assistance visit. And this is something that every community, be it city, county, hamlet, if you're in good standing in the National Flood Insurance Program, then you've got to have this evaluation every 5 years. And so they've been with us most of this week. We have had a lot of good productive discussion. They've taken us to task on a few items, but are providing good guidance on ways to do things better. And so we've looked at a lot of elevation certificates. They will be looking in the future, I guess in the days to come, they'll be looking at decision letters as issued by the Stormwater Management Committee. Just making sure that we're doing our job in accordance with the requirements of the National Flood Insurance Program. So, Tammy, would you like to make a comment or so? We've known Tammy for several years since she was assigned to cover the state of Tennessee. And there are a mere 400 communities in Tennessee that are in this program. So she has a full slate almost all the time. But Tammy?
So good morning. I think basically Roger read my notes. He gave me about 5 minutes when I was jotted stuff down. I'm like almost verbatim. But, as he mentioned, with the community assistance visit, the purpose of that is to come in and, take a, evaluation of the community. Because when you join the National Flood Insurance Program, the community made an agreement to adopt and enforce a minimum set of regulations that meet the requirements in the Code of Federal Regulations. So that's what we're here for. We've talked a little bit about the higher standards, which are awesome, but we don't need to necessarily evaluate that. That's what CRS does, where you get that discount in your insurance for that. So it's kind of like a two-layered system. We look at the bottom part and they look at the higher standards. But while we were here this week, as you mentioned, one of the things we talked about was variances. And so we've made a few suggestions and provided some guidance today, late last night actually, on just some information about variances related to floodplain management because they are different than the other types of programs from zoning and stormwater and such. And it was just the prime opportunity. You were having the meeting while we were here. So they were like, well, would you like to come in and observe the process? So we were like, yes, we would love to do that. It just helps us get a better understanding of how it all works. But thank you for having us.
Thank you, Tammy, very much.
So we will get, in some 45 or so days, we will get a report back from FEMA detailing the findings of their community assistance visit. So we're glad to have them in town and glad they have an opportunity that the schedule's matched with a Stormwater Committee meeting. So thanks.
Thank you, Roger. Really appreciate you all being here. The acronym FEMA does come up every now and then in our discussions, and I was reflecting one time on how much more fun church would be if God showed up every now and then, and you have this kind of invisible power out there. So when the invisible power shows up, it does kind of remind you how important our partnership is. So we really, really appreciate the attention among all your 400 other clients in Tennessee. Okay, so our first item of business is to review and to consider approving our minutes and decision letters. So we can take those separately or as one motion. But does anybody on the board have any edits or corrections or discussion about the previous meeting's minutes or decision letters?
I move to approve the minutes and letters.
Okay, so a motion been made to approve the minutes and decision letters as presented. Is there a second?
A second.
All right, motion been made, properly second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Oh, you're abstaining. One abstention. All right, thank you, ma'am. Okay, so our next item of business is our cases to be heard. I'm going to ask Ms. Gilbert to read our opening statement, and then we'll have staff read a summary of the case. The applicants would like to come on up to the table and just settle in. Yes, they do. Just turn it on when you get ready, when we ask you to start presenting.
Our opening statement to the applicant. If you're not satisfied with the decision made by the Stormwater Management Committee, you may appeal the decision by filing for a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the committee's decision. You are advised to seek the independent advice of legal counsel to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been satisfied.
Okay, staff, you got a summary for us? Mr. Dale's going to recuse himself. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Roy.
Good morning. Case number 1 is 2019-00012. It's 2505, 2506, 2507 Brick Church Pike. The inspector is Boots O'Hara. Parcel numbers are 07102, 009101, and 07102, 009200. This is Council District 2, Councilmember Toombs. The applicant's request is the following. 1, to construct parking area, GIPs, required sidewalks, and a portion of the building in the Zone 1 and Zone 2 floodway buffer, mowing and maintenance of a portion of the disturbed area, and relocation of buffer signs. The appellant is Choice Homes, being represented by Adam Sager of Dale & Associates. Staff comments, stormwater. Sorry. The plantings for mitigation need to be moved closer to the Zone 2 buffer line. Codes had no comments. Planning site is zoned industrial. They defer to stormwater. Greenway Parks also defers to the Stormwater Management Committee.
Okay, so if you'd like to start with your presentation, we'll proceed with your description of the project, and then we'll open up for public discussion and then committee discussion.
Am I on? There we go. Thank you. My name's Adam Sager with Dale & Associates, and appreciate all your service here. We did work hard not to be here today. We looked at all the regulations. We really tried to make this site work without having to get any type of special variances or permissions. But we're dealing with a very small site. It's about a half acre. It's 2 parcels combined. It's about a half acre. And there's further hardships on it, not just on the we're going to talk about with stormwater, but we've got a double frontage road situation, so we have front setbacks on both sides of the property. There's going to be roadway dedications, so that half acre really gets squeezed. And Steve, I don't know if you guys can see the image. I saw it up earlier. Is that?
Yeah, GIS is quick today.
Okay. This site is located right on Brick Church Pike, north of Trinity. And when you go up there, you're going to pass a McDonald's, a Red Roof Inn, other businesses. They're all up and down this. And the drainage way actually goes underneath their parking lots. It's piped in this area. And we've got a very unique situation. This specific site has a business just to the north of it, and just to the south of it, those 2 roads converge. And south of that is where further businesses are. And that drainage way kind of runs down all through them. The site is mowed today. It's a field. If you go out and look at it, you wouldn't notice it to be of any particular resource value. It just looks like a field as you drive by, kind of in an urban setting. However, on the west side of the site, there is a drainage way, and there is a floodplain and floodway that are both located inside the channel. So the floodplain and floodway does not come out to the Outer Banks, and so what we're dealing with is truly just the buffers. We aren't doing anything inside the floodplain or the floodway. And so as we take all those things into consideration, and we try to do something in an industrial zone property, it becomes very challenging. As you can see, if we take the floodway, which again is inside the stream, and we offset at 75 feet, it almost goes all the way across the site. And then coming from the other side on Brooklyn Avenue, when you add in the front setback, it really pinches us down into something that gets very challenging to work with. And then, of course, the property owner looks to the left and looks to the right and sees all these other businesses that have been able to develop on their property, and they have the same issue. And it's piped under Brick Church Pike. It's piped to the south of us, and so we are just a small section there that's open. And so our thought was to try to find a win-win situation, which is let's try to acknowledge that we're in the floodway buffer. Let's try to reintroduce some vegetation and establish a buffer there that's not there today, but yet also help the property owner by being able to do some type of use on here. Their use that they're proposing is going to be a commercial, kind of a small shop, I think organic food store type of place. They require just a handful of parking spaces, and we situated the building as far to Brooklyn Avenue as we could, away from the floodway buffer. We have the parking lot coming in, and some of the parking lot does get into the Zone 1 buffer. Everything else is just Zone 2 buffer. And then in addition to that, doing bioretention ponds, making sure that we do all the proper stormwater treatment, and then have an additional mitigation planting plan along the buffer that runs along Brick Church Pike, so that we can establish a buffer that really isn't there today. And so that's what we have before you. So it will be, I don't know if I hit all the points here, but allowing us to get part of the building and parking lot into the buffer zones, being able to plant the trees, establish the buffer, the bioretention ponds would be in the buffer zone. And our position is we understand the buffers. However, in this unique circumstance, we think this could be a win-win for everybody, and do something that's useful and yet also helps out establishing a buffer that really isn't there today. So I really appreciate you all, and I'm here for any questions as well.
Okay, first we want to open up the public hearing for the public to comment on this. Do we have anyone here today who'd like to speak in favor of this proposal from the public? All right, seeing none, do we have anyone here who'd like to speak in opposition to this proposal from the public? Okay, seeing none, that closes our public hearing, so I'd like to open up discussion for the committee. Okay, while everybody's being studious, I've seen that look before. I'm going to ask a couple of questions. So let me just ask some clarifying questions. You're not proposing to encroach on the floodway at all, is that correct?
Correct. Both the floodplain and floodway are entirely located inside the creek.
Okay, I gathered that. You are proposing to encroach on the Zone 2 with what types of structures?
If you can look at the drawing, there's a corner of the building. It's hard to build a building and chamfer those corners, and so it's really just the corner of the building there, and then the associated parking lot to serve the building.
Okay, so that's the line that crosses the corner of the building is the entry point of the Zone 2.
Correct.
And then the Zone 1 encroachment would be primarily pavement parking?
Yeah, just right where your cursor is, right there, that little kind of bit of parking. It's kind of hard to know exactly where to put the buffer line because it goes under the road and into a pipe. Do you cut it off hard? Is there a circle that comes around it? We were a little more conservative and brought it around, and would rather show the encroachment rather than try to get cute with it. So that little bit right there is kind of 90'd over from the head wall, and so that part, I guess, we would consider is in the Zone 1 buffer.
Okay. And what kind of paving are you proposing to use in the encroached area or in other parts of the parking lot? You're going to have
It's such a small area. We've looked at doing pervious type of pavement in that area. I think our request is officially asphalt because it's such a small area and it's just easier to get in and get out, and because we are proposing bioretention right next to it. This is a situation, though, where it's not, it's kind of like it's not a hill worth dying on. I mean, if it puts us in a better position to do some pervious parking just right there in that corner, we can do that. From a constructability standpoint, long-term, what we find is that if you have a situation where you have a certain type of pavement and another type of pavement, you get a lot of kind of in between where it starts to deteriorate and becomes a maintenance issue. It's better if it's all a homogeneous type of material all the way through. So that's why we kept it as asphalt pavement. But again, we're fine to consider pervious pavement in that corner as well.
Okay. Any particular types of pervious pavement would you be flexible about?
Right now, I think we try to go pavers every time because the pervious concrete and pervious asphalt just becomes a maintenance issue.
Yeah, and you can put a nice, dense concrete edger around it and help that transition issue you were just talking about. Okay, so let me go to a central concern that you were addressed as well. You just described a hardship, two hardships that you all perceive to be associated with the property. So I'm going to take some liberty and see if I can reframe how I'd like you to respond to the issue of hardship. So we had a presentation recently about a state appeals court case that previously addressed a little somewhat legal ambiguity about what hardships really mean. So to kind of summarize that, I'm going to go out on a limb here, counsel. We're only allowed to consider the kind of hardships that relate to the uniqueness of the property. So economic hardship is not really a hardship. Design difficulties, not really a hardship. The fact that the buffer ordinance affects this property is not really a hardship. That question has already been resolved by the ordinance. So what you're asking for is a variance. And part of our discussion here requires us to address whether or not this is a unique piece of property that the ordinance might not have considered becoming a very unique circumstance. Am I addressing that okay, counsel?
Yeah, some of the FEMA guidance does use the word unique, but our rule actually just uses the word exceptional.
Okay.
It has to be an exceptional hardship. So it has to be,
Exceptional
it can't be similar to the properties all up and down along. It has to be, and it has to be something about the physical configuration of the property, that something that, is not changeable over time as it passes through different owners. It has to be something about the property itself, and you were correct that economic hardship cannot be considered.
Okay. So with that clarification and with the understanding that we're being informed by both FEMA precedent and our own ordinance and our own regulations, the language in those documents, can you offer us any kind of insight about that type of hardship that maybe you haven't previously addressed?
A few items come to mind. One, this is an industrial zone property that's been developed all around it, and so the property has always been considered for development through past ownership. And so as people developed north and south of them, and we all understand things have happened in the past. Rules change, regulations change, and they come up to date, and some of these types of situations are grandfathered in. But the value of the property has maintained its industrial status with its zoning as people develop left and right of it. And then as maps change and floodplain and floodway get added to it, what we have is a situation where a property that could have been developed quite easily 15 years ago, 10 years ago, now is in a unique situation where a floodway has been introduced to it that really isn't on the property. It's located in the stream banks. This is unique as you look around for FEMA maps or other places in the city, in the upper reaches of basins, where floodplain starts to channelize. So we don't have what we traditionally think of as a river basin, where floodwaters come out of the banks, they spread out, and now you establish a floodplain and you establish a floodway to make sure that, we know if we fill in the floodplain what those effects are. And what makes it unique is that as you look to the south and to the north, and it's piped, the entire floodplain and floodway are entirely located inside of the ditch. We could fill the entire site and it won't affect the floodplain or floodway in any way. And so we're really not looking at floodplain, floodway. We're really looking at the buffer that exists outside of it per the Stormwater Manual. And so I feel like that puts us in a somewhat of a unique situation, that a property owner has a industrially zoned, nice piece of property with good frontage that could be used for a good use. And as the maps change and a floodway, floodplain gets introduced to the property, it was never introduced to the ground that the building and parking lot would sit on. It was added into the stream bank, and because of the regulations, a 75-foot buffer gets put onto that comes out into the property. That would be one thing. And what else is unique is that it doesn't really behave like a floodway, floodplain either. As you look at it, it doesn't flood. Water doesn't come out. It's regularly mowed. As you look at it, it seems like, yeah, that's a great place for a business or something like that. Whereas in other areas where we are developing and you see kind of a large field and you know that the water comes out of the banks and comes into your field and where you're going to develop, now we're actually dealing with situations where if we were to put dirt there, it is going to impact a floodway, floodplain. And in this case, it's not. So it's really just a buffer situation. Couple that with the zoning ordinance, I think you have a unique situation that not all properties are like this. There's not a whole lot of situations as you look at the maps where you have floodway and floodplain that is entirely located inside the stream banks. And so I'd say that does make it unique and certainly exceptional as we look around at a lot of properties that we deal with that have floodway, floodplain on them.
Okay, so how about we hear some input from some of our fellow committee members?
I just have a clarification. So you said it's currently mowed, so it has never been developed. Is that
Correct. It's exactly as you see on the screen, which is if you were to drive out there today, at least whenever the pictures on Street View are taken, it looks like somebody brush hogs a field, mows it.
Okay, but there's never been any building or structure?
Nope.
Okay, well, typically, I like to get input from staff. One of the factors that we consider, it's not meant to sway this particular decision either way, but it's just some information we need to factor in, is whether or not the mitigation that they're proposing or the improvements that they're proposing the site have any type of offsetting benefit to the encroachment of parking in the corner of a building in the Zone 2 and the Zone 1. So staff, what kind of feedback can you give us?
So we did make a comment about the mitigation, and we asked that instead of placing it directly near the channel itself, that we put it in closer to the site, so that way it will kind of prohibit or discourage the applicant from mowing closer to the banks. So, and Rebecca will correct me if I'm wrong, but we had wanted the tree line to be a little bit further into the property.
The square footage that for the parking lot that's going to be in that Zone 1, I think that's kind of really the concern. Are you all comfortable with how much parking space? I know we said it wasn't going to be a lot of parking spots in that Zone 1, but have you?
Quite a tricky question you're asking.
I know.
So they are actually here because they cannot meet our criteria.
Yes.
So.
But with the mitigation and the fact that, and the fact that it will be in this, and that's my concern, is that parking space in that Zone 1. And we have always said that, that's something that this committee would never, we haven't granted a variance because of that. So I'm just trying to understand, you said it was a small amount, but what's the square footage? How many parking spots are we looking at?
I would say about the equivalent of one parking space, and I'm just getting out my calculator here.
And as he's
One parking space is 150 square feet.
It's the very dark gray section.
Yeah, and to be clear, we looked at a lot of different layouts. This project has been kind of chewed on for about 6 months now as we really tried to find something that would work. The client obviously wants to get a certain amount of square footage, and they have already had to go drastically down from what they wanted. And so we've now got it down to about 2,400 square foot of a building with very few parking spaces. The preference from a planning standpoint and from the owner standpoint is, if you can see the plan, there's a road that stubs into it called Roger Williams Avenue, and it would be nice to put a driveway connecting straight out to that. It's nice to have things lined up and put the driveway in there and come in behind the building and park. But again, that was more impactful to the buffer. And so we went back and forth, back and forth. We have a minimum amount of parking spaces we need. We tried to push everything as close to the building, as far north and as far east as we could. And so we have to have that many parking, those 8 parking spaces, and that last corner gets over there. The reason why, our opinion, that, hey, that's where we would put it out of all the other places on site, is the rest of the buffer. You start to get into more of the main field area where we could plant trees, make it look like a buffer. The corner of the parking up here is closer to the head wall. It's closer to Brick Church Pike. And in fact, if you see the overlay on this drawing, if we're looking at the same one, by the time we dedicate right-of-way, let's say if, this is a hypothetical, if planning and public works enact their major collector street plan, the roadway dedication, the grass strip, the curb and gutter, the sidewalk would completely cover this stream, and the entire thing would be piped anyway. I don't think that will ever happen. We certainly don't want to do that, not only because of cost, but because, now we're getting into a situation where we're piping a big expanse of a creek and all of that. But that's the reason why we chose that corner to put that remaining parking space, is because it is right next to Brick Church Pike. It's next to the head wall. It kind of already feels like that's not really a buffer situation, whereas the remainder of the property feels like, oh, that would be a good place to plant trees and reestablish a buffer.
So how do you feel about staff's recommendation to shift the tree planting to a different area?
Yeah, we agree with that.
You agree with that?
Yeah, we can spread out the trees, whether it's next to the bank and looks linear, or whether it gets more spread out and has more of an organic kind of look and spread out. Yeah, that's okay.
And will it be do not disturb, no mow on the other side of the tree line?
Yes.
Okay.
So we seem to have met all of staff's interests. I guess what we really have to kind of address primarily here is I don't quite think you've met the type of hardship concern that we're allowed to consider. So that pretty much leaves us with the mitigation issue. Is this a proper exchange of function and value for what is being intruded on? Does staff see any benefit to expanding the permeable paving to the entire parking lot and not just the Zone 1 buffer, since they are encroaching on the Zone 2?
I think you could very well make that recommendation. What I'd probably assume that the applicant's going to say is, instead of the entire parking lot, maybe just the parking stalls versus the drive aisles itself.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd add, generally, the nose-in part of the parking space works better to not have some of the shear stresses that you run into otherwise. And I did have one more question for our folks. Sight lines coming onto Brick Church Pike from the property, over time, as this buffer grows up, is that going to be an issue?
They will always be allowed to clear their sight lines.
Okay. Well, just be aware of that. You can't clear to have sight lines coming out.
So how
And I
many?
will
Go
note
ahead.
to the committee, when we give a suggestion for a change to the mitigation, it's not us approving the mitigation or saying we feel the mitigation is adequate. It's just us asking for an improvement to it.
We understand. Thank you very much. This is a recurring dialogue that we have with staff. And whose responsibility is this really? It's always the committee, so, okay, and we accept that responsibility. So, okay, so how would you feel about headstall permeable paving? This is a completely grassed, undeveloped lot. Now, I will say that because this is probably mowed with heavy equipment, there's probably a lot of compaction that's going on there. You know, all of us seen the video of our former mayor standing there over a porous paved parking lot watching 1,000 gallons pour out of a fire truck, and he's not having to run away as it's rushing towards his feet. It's soaking right into the pavement. So I could see that being a major improvement, a very reasonable mitigation alternative. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, that would be fine with us.
Okay.
Chairman, can I make one clarification?
Yes, sir.
We have not seen any roadway widening plans, nor do we think we would probably support such a widening considering the situation it's at.
Of course.
So we will go to our fellow brother and sister agencies and say that this is not a great idea. If you're going to do something, you should probably do it either on the other side. But, you know, as far as piping, a floodway or floodplain, something like that, it's just not something that we're going to tell our friends at Public Works or Planning that we're going to support.
Okay. All right, I'd like to see one other image while the committee considers their decision. Can you show us a floodway, floodplain overlay on top of this site, just so I can see how it intersects with adjacent parcels, just the flow patterns?
Was there one in the packet?
You're probably going to have to go to Metro Maps to do that, if you don't mind. Metro Planning. That's my only concern, is just ingress, egress type patterns. So while they're looking that up, what is the direction of the committee members? Which way are you all leaning at this point?
I'm leaning in favor with the installation of pavers in the parking stalls. But I think I'd like to kind of well define how much of the buffer is going to be mowed.
Because the sightline issues could intrude pretty significantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else like to weigh in?
In the same thought.
That bought us a little bit of time. And this is by no means an intent to make this harder. We're just trying to be thorough. These decisions are very important, and Metro's blessed with lots of excellent information resources on which to make these decisions. So certainly want to take advantage of those. Okay.
How much of the buffer do you anticipate being usable space? I mean, it's a commercial property, so would you be okay with putting the tree line closer to the, I mean, maybe like right at the Zone 2, Zone 1 buffer line?
Oh, certainly. And just to address what you said about mowing sight lines, if we're talking about vehicular sight lines, whenever you exit the parking lot onto Brick Church Pike, keep in mind that we are now crossing over the stream, and really you're looking down a maintained kind of channel. And so I don't think we would have any issues with sight lines entering, leaving the property, because you basically have Brick Church Pike immediately dropping down into a roadside ditch. It's a pretty, substantial width. So by the time you're behind the wheel and you're exiting the site, you're going to be able to see left and right pretty well. So we're not overly concerned about any sight lines. And then for mowing and a commercial property on our side of the creek, we're happy to take the trees all the way up to the Zone 1, Zone 2 line. No mowing behind it. As you can see on the plan, there is a little patio on the south that's outside of the buffer that they can use for a sitting area. If this is some type of urban market area, our plan is hopefully they're accessing from Brooklyn Avenue, sidewalk, pedestrian activity becomes more on the east side of the building and on that south side. And then the rear of it would be trees, kind of natural, leave it natural type of stuff. So we have no problems moving the trees to that buffer line, leaving everything between that tree line and the creek not mowed. So does that help answer it?
Yeah, I think you're right about the sightlines. I'm not as concerned about that. Just more of reestablishing the buffer would be nice.
Can you pan out a little bit wider there, just so we can kind of see the bigger picture? This would nearly have to be a headwater situation to have a floodplain that narrow or close to a headwater area. Okay, yeah, that development to the south. Okay, so I think we've gotten all the information we need. Anyone like to make a motion? And let me see if I can reiterate some of the key pieces of a proposal that we could vote on. Solid porous pavers in the parking stalls. Staff's recommendation that they put the trees in the buffer and that they limit intrusions with maintenance. And the rest of the proposal stands as is. Does everyone understand it that way? Okay. All right, so what's your proposal?
I make a motion that we approve the variance with the contingencies that have been set before this committee.
All right. Got a motion on the table. Is there a second?
A second.
All right, motion been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, so with the next applicant, please come forward and make yourself comfortable while we go through the normal routines. Sir, were you here earlier when we read the opening statement concerning your legal rights, your applicant? Okay. All right, so would staff like to continue with a summary of this case?
Thank you, sir. Case number 2 is 2019-00015, located at 350 Harding Place. The inspector is Sean Herman. Parcel number is 134-000-16000. This is Council District 13, Councilman Bradford. The applicant's request is the following. 1, floodway zone 1 and zone 2 buffer disturbance, and 2, continuous mowing and maintenance. The appellant is Mudger Group, LLC, being represented by Mr. Jason Morlock of Morlock Engineering. Comments are as follows. Stormwater, if approved, staff requests that the trees are varied so that no species compromises more than 20% of the total. Codes had no comments. Planning, site zones commercial, defer to stormwater. Greenways, parks will defer to the Stormwater Management Committee as well. Thank you.
All right, so if you'd like to proceed with a summary of your application, feel free.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. This site is in the northeastern quadrant of Harding and I-24. It's been developed, I think, since around 1969, 1970, with a hotel on it, parking on all four sides. I believe that would predate any ordinance requirements concerning these Zone 1, Zone 2 buffers. Currently, everything just sheet flows over straight into Sorghum Branch with no water quality, nothing of any sort, just goes right in there. I put photos in the packet. I don't know if you all have seen them or been to the site. Our proposal would be to put level 2 bioretention area in. We would also mitigate the buffer disturbance with pervious pavers, and also we have a mitigation plan as well. So we think it's an obvious improvement to the site. I also put some exhibits in there that show the impervious area as it stands now and what it would be when we get finished. There's 0.123 acres of impervious area in the Zone 1 and Zone 2 buffers currently. Or I'm sorry, that would be the reduction of what we would reduce in those areas. 0.066 acres of that being Zone 1 and 0.057 acres being Zone 2. So again, we think it's an improvement on what's there, and the hardship would be that, all of this, the development predated what's there currently.
All right, does that conclude your
Yes, sir.
open statement? Okay. All right, this opens our public hearing for public comment. Do we have anybody here who'd like to speak in favor of this proposal from the public? All right, seeing none, do we have anybody here who'd like to speak in opposition to this proposal? All right, seeing none, that closes our public hearing, so I'll open it up for discussion by the committee. Okay. Seen that look before? Well. Okay, welcome back, Mr. Dale. So we've got this pretty clear proposal. I don't think I've got any more clarifying questions for myself. Staff, what kind of information are you providing for our decision?
Well, I could tell you personally, myself, I love it when a site that's next to a stream that has no water quality or no mow buffers or other buffers get redeveloped and you incorporate water quality. But that's typical plan comment. I will say that we did ask the applicant to consider using the pavers for the buffer, and he incorporated it. We did ask for clarification on the mitigation as far as the plantings, and they did confirm that all the plantings that they're providing are strictly for mitigation, and they will do other trees for their codes requirements.
So this is a redevelopment, all right? Yes, can you restate the area of Zone 1 disturbance?
Yeah, the reduction would be 0.066 acres of impervious area would be taken out of the Zone 1 buffer, and 0.057 acres will be taken out of the Zone 2 buffer.
Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of quick math here on TV. 0.066 times 43,560 square feet is 2,874 square feet.
Sounds about right. Yes, sir.
It's a little bigger than a parking stall, right? Okay. All right. So we're talking about a little bigger disturbance with the Zone 1. We're usually pretty stingy with the Zone 1. What other alternatives did you consider to stay out of the Zone 1 that might still be on the table?
We did everything we could. We pulled the parking lot away from the Zone 1. There's quite a bit of topography across the site. There's about a 14 or 15-foot retaining wall on the east side of the site. And, we just came across with minimum parking dimensions all the way across the lot, put the minimum number of spaces in required by code, and also have a retaining wall on the west side of the property as well to help minimize that disturbance even more so. You can see the shadow of that retaining wall in that picture. It's like I said, it's probably 14 to 16 feet tall. It's a big wall.
That's my primary concern, is even though it's a redevelopment, that's a lot of square feet in the Zone 1, so.
I think, as far as clarification, can you state how much increase impervious you're adding into the Zone 1, Zone 2?
But we're not increasing, we're decreasing. It's a decrease.
By how much? How many square feet of impervious are you, of pervious are you adding? And impervious are you reducing?
Zone 1 currently has, I did this in acres unfortunately, but it has .187 acres of impervious area currently. When we get finished, it'll have .011 plus .110 acres of pervious pavers. So that's the sum of those two numbers, and you subtract that from the .187, that's where I'm getting the .066. So you'll only have .011 acres of what I would consider impervious area inside of that buffer. All the rest will be pervious pavers. And that was based on our feedback we got at the pre-application meeting with staff. We thought it was a good idea to add that.
Okay. That clarifies a little bit. Okay, so what say you, committee members?
Well, if I'm looking at this right, you're taking out a lot of pervious concrete in Zone 1.
We're taking out a lot of impervious area, correct.
And so really reducing all, if you look at the map, really all of it except for a small amount, and replacing that with pervious.
For the most part, yes.
So
I would say 99% of it, yes.
It's a substantial change
Yes.
for the better, reducing all, taking all that asphalt and concrete out, so.
Correct. Mhm.
Talk to me a little bit about the parking requirements. You said minimal, is it minimal per Metro codes or minimal based upon what this tenant needs?
Per Metro codes.
So you have not one parking space more than what you're required to have?
No, sir, we're right on the number.
Is it shared parking between the two hotels?
Yes, it's all one parcel.
Okay.
So we just calculated it based on each hotel, based on Metro's code and parking requirements.
Okay, so I've recognized that look before too, so does anybody have a motion?
I move we approve the applicant based on the improvements in the buffers, both by reducing the impervious area and, yes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and properly seconded. Is there any discussion on this motion? Any further discussion?
I'm struggling just a little bit.
Okay, yeah, we can slow it down. That's what discussion's for. On the motion.
Did you sorry, were you about to say something, Roy?
I don't know. I don't know the parking requirements and all that. And you'd mentioned shared parking, and maybe there's a shared parking study that could be done that reduces the amount of parking spaces. It's just when I look at the plan, if you can put it back up there, the colored plan, that parking in front of this bioretention area, there's not that many parking spaces. If those spaces weren't there, this could be pushed away a little bit, and maybe reduce the amount of impervious surface or reduce the encroached area. And so, I want to support this, and I appreciate the motion to approve. I think that this is something that I think can work, and I think it's good to take an area that's obviously needs to be redone, and I don't want to discourage that, but I'm struggling just a little bit, and I just want to talk to you about that, because I don't want to vote against this motion, quite honestly, but I'm still having a difficult time. So
That's very fair. So how'd you like to respond to that, sir?
Well, if the parking spaces are concerned, again, we are minimum by code. We could do pervious pavers there as well, if that would help out. Right now, we're just showing them in the drive aisle, not in the spaces. And those spaces do drain into the bioretention area. None of that area drains towards the creek. It all drains into the bioretention and will get treated before it leaves the site.
How big of a headache, or excuse me, wrong word. How big of how would you be amenable to adding permeable pavers to that area?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they'd be good. So on this plan where it says asphalt and just on the top of the sheet, I don't know if that's north or not. You've got
north.
parking spaces, and you have an area that doesn't have parking spaces. It's like a divided median or something there. What is that?
It's a drop-off area. It's the reception area for the hotel.
Okay. Seems unusual. All right, I'm good.
Have you considered any compact parking spaces on this?
We did not. They're all minimum by code. Not opposed to that, though. We could potentially do something like that here on the spaces that are concerned and try to push that retaining wall in the parking area further away from the creek.
I think it might be worth looking at.
Okay.
I do too, and I don't know if it's something that we can make as a condition. It'd be great if we could. I mean, I don't want you to have to come back. If that's something that's possible, I'd like to do that, but it makes me feel better. I mean, I think that there's a way you can do some squeezing a little bit here and probably reduce the encroachments a little bit, and I think it may be beneficial for you too. And it's something I'd like to see. I don't know if staff feels comfortable with some kind of a motion that would add that flexibility for him to be able to squeeze this down a little bit. Is that?
I could do that.
Okay.
I'm the actual reviewer for this
All right.
project, so I could, what I'll do is I'll work with the applicant and ensure that we get an email from code saying that they have used compact spaces and they've minimized, and I'm going to assume that the spots that you want to take out are the ones adjacent to the buffer. Or if the answer is we've talked to codes and they said absolutely they've already minimized, we could verify that as well.
Well, anything that reduces the level of encroachment, wherever that is, I don't care. But I think there's opportunities here to tweak this just a little bit. And so I support the motion. I don't know if I can amend the motion right now, can I?
I think it'd be better if we dealt with the motion as is. We got a couple of options with that. We can vote on it, and if it was voted down, we could have a new motion, or I think there may be a parliamentary option for the person who offered the motion to withdraw their motion, but I think we may have gone too far for that.
The second would also have to withdraw her second as well.
Exactly.
I was going to just add, though, that your rules do specifically say that the committee may attach such conditions to the granting of variances as it deems necessary to further the objectives of these regulations.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So okay, so we have the person who made the motion and second has agreed to withdraw the motion. Okay, no opposition to that by any committee member. Okay, so the floor is open for further discussion or other motions.
I don't know that I'm articulate enough to make this motion.
I think you are, Roy. I believe in you, man.
I don't know. So I move to approve the variance as submitted with certain conditions, and those being that the applicant work with staff and the codes department to look at shared parking, compact spaces, an effort to reduce any encroachments within the Zone 1 or Zone 2 buffers, and that the applicant also provide pervious pavement for any proposed parking or drive aisles within the Zone 1 and the Zone 2 buffer.
I thought that was very clear and very articulate. So,
and that's all based upon doing our job here in a redevelopment of property in a manner which we think is conducive to our standards of providing a higher level of water quality for Davidson County.
There you go.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and an equally articulate second. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay. I think we're showing off for our guests. I think that's what this is about. Anyway, go ahead.
I just remembered the mowing and maintenance. Can you clarify what exactly you would like to mow?
We will install water quality buffer signage. The buffer will actually extend a little further out than where the tree line is currently. The grading plan would show, we're really only going to mow maybe 6 to 8 feet behind the curb. The idea is this area is not visible anyway. I've already talked with the owner about it. There's really is no harm in letting it grow up. So really just 6 to 8 feet behind the curb. Otherwise, it'll stay as is.
Okay, thank you.
But they're called out on the plan. It's a keynote, but it's on there.
Thank you.
So are you satisfied with that, Madam Committee Member? Okay, excellent. We are thorough, and we try to do our job well. So we have a motion on the table, properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes with those conditions. Thank you, sir. Okay, so we took care of our new business earlier, and we've just completed our publicly noticed business. Ms. Gilbert, do we have any other business on the agenda? Rebecca? Okay, all right. Always glad to hear from Rebecca.
So we do have a table of permissible buffer impacts that are staff approvable, and we have actually listened to you guys through the years, especially when something comes forward and you say, why is this even here? So we have taken that to heart, and we have updated that table to include some of those, why is this even here? That includes sidewalks in accordance with the major and collector street plan, culvert or pipe extensions that are required by Public Works as part of a new development, improvements to encapsulated streams. So if somebody had to go through and replace a pipe for an encapsulated stream, they would no longer have to get permission to recapsulate it, but we will always let them improve a pipe anyway. Drainage system outfalls. In a lot of cases, we already approve those, but if they come to you, we add those onto the plan. And then we have also taken on mowing and maintenance on single-family residential. And for that one, what we've decided to do is we're still going to require that half of the buffer be preserved. And if they want to maintain the other half of it, this is of the Zone 1 portion, then they have to plant trees at a density of 100 per acre, which is about 20-foot centers. So they can turn in a plan showing that to us, and we can go ahead and approve it, and they won't have to come here at all for that level of maintenance. So those are the new conditions for our Table 6.3.
Effective now. Signed by
Excellent.
the mayor. Mr. Chairman, if there is one other point I'd like to make in relation to the point Anna just made. Our staff is the ones that over time inspect the stormwater control measures forever. And obviously, part of what we do on the sites that come before you is try to reconcile what the sites are doing over time and what was granted as far as the variance, because the variance plan of record is in essence the new stormwater management manual requirements for the site. And I think the point that she just made is very important, because sometimes when we go back and we look at the plan of record that was approved, it's somewhat difficult to ascertain what some of these subtle aspects are on these projects, like how much are they allowed to mow. So I think that's a good point, and maybe something for the committee to just keep in the back of their mind, that when we go back forever as we look at these sites periodically to make sure they're doing what they need to be doing, that plan of record is key. And if it's not, like on this one, we'll need to go back and see what Steve and them approve, and that would become the I guess, what we would enforce to on that. But just keep in mind, we do have people going out on these sites forever and making sure they're doing the things that you all approve. And the clearer that can be to them 2, 5, 10 years from now, the better it is. So, thank you.
Excellent. Okay. Given that prompt of that excellent presentation and those new technical standards. That just reminds me that I should emphasize that we are very blessed with our technical staff's expertise, the engineering, biology, botany, chemistry, all the different disciplines that are required to manage stormwater holistically and effectively for the benefit of our county and city are self-evident. And particularly, as I mentioned earlier, that reference to that state appeals court case, the legal expertise that was provided to that, the scientific expertise that was provided that discussion is really allows us to perform at a very high level and serve the people of our community well. So appreciate all of our staff. Okay. Does anyone have any other further business they'd like to?
Just to update, we have 3 cases next time. 2 of them are rehearings.
Okay, I heard everybody take a deep breath when that was announced. All right. Any other discussion? All right. Anybody have a motion? Got a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion been made, properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those say aye.
Aye.
All those against? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.